She went to Chicago and she bought what she could of furniture. Her dream had always been to open a furniture store. And this woman who had never gone to school one day in her life, with $2,500, but with the same spirit that the people in this room had about having a dream and working to accomplish that dream, she built a business which she sold to me in 1983 for $60 million approximately, and which did $1.5 billion worth of business last year.
All successful people have one thing in common. They were willing to put their time and energy to better themselves and had a determination to work hard until they reached their dream. It's just remarkable how people can accomplish anything even with limited skills, and the secret is real determination. One interesting story Warren Buffett tells in this episode is about a woman that could not read or write, but still, she could manage and build a huge furniture business. And this is how the story goes. In 1917, a woman named Rose Blumkin arrived in Seattle from Russia. She couldn't speak English and wore a tag around her neck that simply read, Fort Dodge, Iowa. With the help of the Red Cross, she traveled to Fort Dodge, where she was reunited with her husband, who had come to America a few years earlier. She lived there for 2 years but struggled with the language and felt isolated. So, in 1919, she and her husband moved to Omaha, where she discovered a small community of Russian Jews, and she started to feel more at home. Her oldest daughter, Frances, began bringing home new English words she'd learned at school, teaching them to her mother bit by bit. Over the next 20 years, Rose saved tirelessly, selling used clothing to bring over her family members from Russia, $50 at a time. Despite never attending a day of school, by 1937, she had saved $25,100, enough to make her dream of opening a furniture store a reality. Rose went to Chicago, bought what she could, and opened her business. She didn't have a special formula for furniture, but she had an unbreakable will to succeed. Rose outworked everyone, kept her prices low, and took great care of her customers. The business she built grew to incredible heights. By 1983, her store, which she sold to Warren Buffett, had become immensely successful. Under her leadership, it grew to generate over $1 billion in revenue annually. Rose continued working in her store until she was 103, finally retiring a year before she passed away. Rose's story reflects a simple yet powerful truth. Success doesn't always come from unique ideas but from hard work, customer care, and determination. Her legacy lives on in her business, now in its 4th generation, proving that a strong will and commitment to others can turn any dream into a lasting achievement. Rose Blumkin had always dreamed of opening a furniture store. Though she had never attended a day of school, she started her business with just $2,500 and the same determination that every successful person shares, to pursue a dream and make it a reality.
About her, she could not read or write. And she went into a furniture business, and she didn't bring anything unique in furniture, but she brought a determination to succeed. She knew she could outwork anyone else. She knew she cared about her customers. She worked at very low gross margins, but she built this incredible business.
By 1983, she sold that business to Warren Buffett for about $60 million. Today, the 4th generation of her family is involved in running it. Rose herself continued working for Warren Buffett until she was 103. And then she retired, and she died the next year, which is a lesson to all of us who want to prematurely retire. But the main idea from the story is that she started in the furniture business without offering anything unusual in products, but she brought something far more valuable: relentless determination. Rose knew she could outwork anyone and had a deep commitment to her customers. She operated on very low profit margins but still built an extraordinary business. There is another interesting story that Warren Buffett tells, and it is about Jack, a man whose path was far from clear at the start, who went to college for a year but quickly realized school wasn't for him. He left in 1941, and when the U.S. entered the war, he volunteered for the Army Air Force. Turned away due to hay fever, he went straight to the Navy and was accepted, eventually becoming a fighter pilot on an aircraft carrier during World War II. Jack's courage and skill earned him 2 distinguished flying crosses, and when he returned to the Midwest at around 23 or 24 years old, he bounced from one job to another until he landed a position as a used car salesman at a Cadillac dealership in St. Louis, Missouri. At 35, Jack wanted to try his hand at car leasing and proposed the idea to his boss. The boss agreed, if Jack would cut his salary in half and come up with $25,000. Jack borrowed the money, became a partner, and started his own small leasing business with just 7 cars. Business was slow at first. In fact, when the phone rang, Jack would let it ring several times to create the illusion he was in demand, though it was often his only call of the day. Despite these humble beginnings, Jack learned valuable lessons and kept pushing forward. At 40, with his small fleet now grown to 17 cars, he decided to go into the competitive world of rental cars, despite Hertz, Avis, and other big players dominating the market with hundreds of thousands of vehicles. While Jack's cars were no different from theirs, he distinguished himself by offering unparalleled customer service, a principle he held above all. He named his new company, Enterprise, inspired by the battleship he flew from in the Pacific, the USS Enterprise. Jack passed away a little over a year ago, but his legacy lives on. His company, which started with just 17 cars, grew into the most valuable car rental company in the world, surpassing all his former competitors combined. Jack Taylor's son, Andy, is now at the helm, with a grandchild in the business and a 4th generation likely to follow. Jack's success wasn't built on new technology or revolutionary products, but on treating every customer as a friend. This mindset allowed him to build a truly exceptional business from something as ordinary as a rental car. He didn't worry about the market or the economy. He focused on what he could control, the customer experience. When I once offered to buy Enterprise for Berkshire, Jack wisely turned me down, and since then, the company's value has multiplied many times over. His story, like Mrs. B's, reminds us that focusing on what we can give to the customer is the true key to success. Henry Ford, as you may know, failed twice before he successfully founded the Ford Motor Company in 1903. The key test in business isn't about striking the perfect idea the first time. The real test is about learning and understanding what unique strengths you bring, what value you can offer your customers, and how to keep improving along the way. That's where the education you've gained through 10,000 small businesses comes in, but to make it work, you also need a true, daily commitment to delighting your customers. In all the businesses I've seen, and there have been many, I've yet to find one that delivers consistent customer delight and doesn't succeed. You want your customers, the next time they think about renting a car or buying furniture, to remember the place where they had an outstanding experience. And while I might not know the price I paid for a tie or a shirt years later, I'll always remember how I was treated when I bought it. Customers will eventually forget the price, but they'll never forget how they felt about their experience. If that experience was positive, they'll be back. If it was negative, indifference, rudeness, they won't return. As a small business owner looking to grow, you have to build a company culture where customer delight is embedded in everyone's role. You can't do it alone. You need a team that shares your interest in genuinely treating people well. But to cultivate that, you need to ensure that your team feels respected, valued, and heard. You're not just serving customers. You're multiplying your impact by leading a team that feels empowered to carry out that same mission. I often advise young people on the importance of surrounding themselves with those who make them better. One of the most significant choices you'll make in life is in selecting a spouse, someone who supports you, challenges you, and helps you grow. This principle extends beyond marriage to friendships, mentors, and colleagues. The people you surround yourself with shape the direction of your life. I've been incredibly fortunate to have teachers, friends, and a spouse who made me better, and I had enough sense to learn from them. Life just works better when you grow alongside people who push you to be better. My advice is to seek partners, whether in business or in life, who inspire you, who you can look up to, rather than those you feel you need to fix. Simple principles like this, along with prioritizing customer satisfaction, empowering others, and surrounding yourself with positive influences, will lead you down a more rewarding path. These practices can take you further than you might imagine. Look at someone like Rose Blumkin. Despite not knowing English or being able to read or write, she built what is now a $1.5 billion business. And notably, the only capital invested in Nebraska Furniture Mart was that initial $2,500. The company grew from within, and the same is likely true for enterprise, another business built on tenacity and dedication, with little outside capital along the way. If you can balance full-time work with the commitment to advance your skills, you are ahead of 99% of people, because only 1% can achieve that impressive proof of determination.